and the chorus kicks in again. What we gonna do? What are we gonna do in 1984? That's right, folks. What are we gonna do in 1984? So, that's a stirring bunch of lyrics now, isn't it? I'll be honest with you. I've never really sat there and read through each and every one of those lyrics. I've sung the songs a million times, and I got to say my lyrical rendition wasn't so bad. But really sitting there and reading the lyrics and going through what they were word by word, I think that just kind of adds a whole new, dare I say, spooky air to the lyrical content of the Foreskins and that song in particular. Because unfortunately, I think we're pretty doggone close to the realization of those lyrics as far as the test tube babies. Not the birth of a nation, but the death of a nation. Yeah, I think we're on track with all that. It's making some subtle changes here, folks. Fear not. Fear not. So what I really wanted to get into this evening was not 1984, although it's kind of neck and neck with what we're going to talk about. We're going to get into Brave New World. Written 1932. And we'll get into some things worth mentioning by our old pal, Aldous Huxley. Before we do, let's take a trip down memory lane by our old Let's get into some history of dear old Aldous Huxley, shall we? Trip down memory lane. Dear old Aldous history. So before we delve into full-bore Aldous, we got to look at the pedigree. That would be the proper eugenics thing to do. Now, we got to look at the pedigree of dear old Aldous. We got to look at the pedigree. So to do that, let's start with Grandpappy Thomas Huxley. That'd be the guy. The person that coined the phrase agnostic. That's old Thomas Huxley. That's him. And he went on to be such a proponent of evolution that he was touted as being Darwin's bulldog. That's him. Darwin's bulldog. We know Darwin, quite the proponent of inbreeding, married his first cousin, the Galtons, the Wedgwoods, and the Darwins. Galtons, Wedgwoods, and the Darwins formed their own little demonic family tree of sorts where they were definitely trying to create their own master race, if you will. If you look at the details of that, it didn't turn out too well. But that's another show for another day. Let's not get sidetracked. So that's Grandpappy Thomas Huxley. We kicked the can down the road again a little bit. We got the brothers Huxley, and we're talking about Julian Huxley, and we're talking about dear old Aldous Huxley. So before we get to Aldous, let's take a trip down memory lane with Julian. First director of UNESCO. That's the UN. UNESCO. The UN, yeah, they're the blue helmets that go in and do fun stuff like child trafficking with DynCorp. That's them. It's the UN that's working with Bill Gates with various eugenics and extermination plans all over Africa and other third world places. That's them. UNESCO, also the folks that are anchoring the UN World Heritage Sites. That'd be those sites. There would be the big pyramidal structures all throughout North America and really all over the world. Whether or not you're talking about Teotihuacan, Tenochtitlan, Cahokia, or Poverty Point, they're all World Heritage Sites. So the first director of UNESCO would be dear old Julian Huxley. But wait, there's more. Because Julian was also Big member of the British Eugenics Society. Yeah, did all kinds of good stuff. Linking up with a little Cold Springs Harbor here in the U.S. of A. And touting eugenics all over here and fro. Because we got to get rid of those useless eaters, right? We got to exterminate and quill the reproduction of those folks. Well, that sounds a heck of a lot like what they were just saying in the 1984 song, doesn't it? Well, that's funny. Sounds a heck of a lot like what was touted by dear old Aldous in 1932's Brave New World. Doesn't it? Just a little bit. Just a little bit. So tonight, we're going to explore Aldous a bit. We're going to do so through his writings and through his words. And we're going to sort of circle the wagons and see how that goes. That's the game plan. So let's get into dear old Aldous Huxley. Just a little bit. We're not going to explore all of his works. We're going to delve specifically into Brave New World and his letters and his Berkeley speech, 1961. Actually, I am begoggled as to what the correct date is on that, because I've seen 1962, which is what I always thought it was, but then I'm seeing other, cited work saying it was 1961. So I'll just say 61 or 62. I mean, the most credible, I would say, says 61. So, whatever. We'll give it a shot, and we'll just see now, won't we? All right. Let's kick things off with this piece. And this is from the foreword to the 1947 second edition of Brave New World. You wouldn't believe how difficult it was today to find this foreword. I dare you. Finding the foreword for the 1947 second edition of Brave New World. Check it out. Give it a shot on your own. I guarantee it, you'll kill a couple hours just trying to find this. See, I found it a couple days ago, and then the computer sacked out on me. Lost all that. And then it took me about 2 hours today to comb the catacombs of the internet and of my own mind to try to figure this mess out. So, we're going to do some reading. Some little light reading. Don't get freaked out and change the channel or shut the stream down or whatever. Fear not. We're going to do a little light reading. And we're going to tackle a portion of the foreword of Brave New World. And we're going to juxtapose that to his Berkeley speech. And then we're going to juxtapose that to some letters from the Huxley Letters publication from 1948, I do believe. Let's do it. First, we're going to tackle the first one I mentioned. Here we go. This, again, is the foreword from Brave New World, second edition, from dear old Julian. Oh, excuse me. Good grief. Dear old Aldous. Good night, nurse. I don't want to mess that up for you. The foreword. Here we go. We're going to start it out right about here, because this is going to be key in a moment. The love of servitude cannot be established except as a result of a deep personal revolution in human minds and bodies. And while I'm reading this, I want you to think about the psyop that's been going on for the last darn near 3 years now. And if you can't connect these dots, I don't know what else to say. We're talking about a personal revolution in human minds and bodies to bring about the revolution, Great Reset. We require, among others, the following discoveries and inventions. And I apologize if this is a little bit small on your screen if you're watching this via the live stream or the later just information breakdown segments, but This is the best that I could find, and without fouling it up, this is best. So stick with me, and we're just going to read through this, and we're going to make some connections in case you missed it, folks. The following discoveries and inventions are necessary for the proper human mind and body revolution that we're talking about here. Great Reset. Event 201, Operation Lockstep. This is all trickling back down to these publications. First, a greatly improved technique of suggestion through infant conditioning and later with the aid of drugs such as scopolamine. If you don't know what that's up, check it out. Scopolamine. Very powerful devil's breath drug. Yeah, it will basically render you unable to remember what happened, but still be conscious and barely lucid as you are in a state of somewhat paralysis. But I digress. Improved techniques of suggestion, aka propaganda and manipulation, through infant conditioning. Have we seen any conditioning going on in the last 3 years of the PSYOP? Have we seen any, folks? I'm asking. I'm not telling you. I'm asking you. Have you seen any conditioning in the schools? Let it sink in. Number 2, it says, second, a fully developed science of human differences. We're talking about divide and conquer here, folks. Science and development of human differences. Enabling government managers to assign any given individual to his or her proper place in the social and economic hierarchy. He says round pegs and square holes tend to have dangerous thoughts about the social system and to infect others with their discontents. So he's saying here, if we have people not fitting in, then that discontent may spread virally to others. Well, it won't spread that way in this rendition of the brave new 1984 because we got people being censored, stifled, shadow banned, and otherwise done away with through the memory hole at the Ministry of Truth. So you can't have that. You've got to have people properly set up to go in their codified special little group. Because if we can keep you all in groups, we can control you pretty stinking easy, can't we? Because we got this group against that group. The blacks against the whites. The Americans versus the illegals. The straights versus the gays. The LGBT LMNOPs against everybody. The Muslims against the Christians. The satanic cult, witchcraft, demon-possessed goblin creatures against all of them. Let's move down to third. Since reality, however utopian, is something from which people feel the need of taking pretty frequent holidays, a substitute for alcohol and other narcotics. Something at once less harmful and more pleasure-giving than gin or heroin. Oh, yeah. So what could that be? Well, here in the brave new 1984, we know what the bleep that is, don't we? That's your Google glasses. That's your virtual reality, which will become your virtual existence. See, you'll transcend this nightmare reality of porn-obsessed morons and social media-obsessed drooling nitwits. That'll be a thing of the past because you'll be in your own virtual reality. Your own virtual reality. It'll be even greater than gin and heroin. It'll be even greater than the slow drip dopamine that you get from the social media. And your little spy device, it'll be so much greater than that. Because you won't even know whether or not you are in reality or the virtual world. All too much pleasure and fun in the virtual reality of the Google glasses, baby. Embrace it. Fourth, last but certainly not least, it says, and fourth, but this would be a long-term project, which it would take generations of totalitarian control to bring to a successful conclusion. A foolproof system of eugenics designed to standardize the human product and so to facilitate the task of the managers. In Brave New World, this standardization of the human product has been pushed to fantastic, though not perhaps impossible extremes. Technically and ideologically, we are still a long way away from bottled babies and Bokanovsky groups of semi-morons. We ain't that far away anymore. But by AF 600, who knows what may not be happening. Meanwhile, the other characteristic features of the happier and more stable world, the equivalents of Soma and Hypnopedia and the scientific caste system. Oh, what was that? Hypnopedia and the scientific caste system? What could be encompassed in that caste system? Truthers? Anti-vaxxers? Science deniers? Well, those are all pretty little words for those evil evangelicals that Thomas Huxley went from being Paul to Saul. Let's continue. And the scientific caste system are probably not more than 3 or 4 generations away. Nor does the sexual promiscuity of Brave New World seem so very distant. It ain't distant anymore, folks. There are already certain American cities in which the number of divorces is equal to the number of marriages. Think about how fouled up we are now. We're neck and neck. We're exceeding right now, folks, divorces to marriages. In a few years, no doubt marriage licenses will be sold like dog licenses, good for a period of 12 months, with no law against changing dogs or keeping more than one animal at a time. That would be the no-fault divorce laws of the 1960s. That's what really kicked off this whole divorce frenzy. And now we do have people with more than one animal at a time, where we've got polyandry and polygyny, all kinds of good stuff like that. People marrying trees and animals, and hallelujah, you better accept it, or you're a bigot. Don't be a bigot. Accept the diversity, you scum. As political and economic freedom diminishes, sexual freedom tends compensatingly to increase. And the dictator, unless he needs cannon fodder and families with which to colonize empty or conquered territories, will do well to encourage that freedom. That's right, folks. You've got to encourage the freedom and diversity of immorality in conjunction with the freedom to daydream under the influence of dope and movies and the radio. It will help to reconcile his subjects to the servitude, which is their fate. Ooh, and a chill filled the room. Let's underscore that last bit again. And the dictator, unless he needs cannon fodder and families for which to colonize empty or conquered territories, that'd be the only reason he would rail against this sort of fun. The only reason. Will do well to encourage that freedom. He needs to encourage that freedom in conjunction with the freedom to daydream under the influence of dope and movies and radio. It will help to reconcile his subjects to the servitude which is their fate. Ooh, the servitude which is their fate, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. I think that just about sums it up. The preface from the second edition of Brave New World, a la circa 1947. See, that was way after the first 1932 Brave New World. That was way through World War II. All that fun, yeah? So any dictator needs to encourage this kind of debauchery. Encourage sleeping around. Encourage the immorality and promiscuity. Yeah, have sexual relations with anybody you want. Friends, family, children, saith the New World Order. Yeah, that's okay. After all, there's no recourse for these actions because we got no-fault divorce laws. And we're normalizing, legitimizing, and standardizing immorality with everybody you can think of. Most recently, they're normalizing it with the children. Because after all, that's just a P at the end of the LGBT, right? You got to embrace it, baby. You got to love your servitude. Love it, baby. You got to love it. So, also the tail end of this, I could not think of a better way to surmise this. I can't think of a more telling fitting into this. Under the influence of dope, that's why weed's getting legalized everywhere and all other narcotics are all too soon to follow. And movies, yeah, this was a little bit before the big TV boom, so people were mesmerized with the movies. Or what was the word that was used up here? Hypnopedia. Ooh, with the movies, baby. And now not only the movies, but the television and the Netflix and the YouTube and the Amazons too. And let's not forget all that can stream to you via your little spy device. And in conjunction with that, we got the Pornopedia now too. You can get all that too, baby. You can get all that immorality streamed in your little device. And it's a little defunct, but at the end it's saying, and the radio too. Oh yeah, and the radio. So you can listen to the immorality, you can watch the immorality, you can stream the immorality, and that can serve as a buttress of the own crumbling edifice that is you. Because you've normalized, standardized, and legitimized all this, so now you are part of it too. You are part of the Brave New World system. Because what will it do? It will help to reconcile his subjects to the servitude which is their fate. That's right, folks. The servitude that is your fate. Let's do a little connecting of the dots, shall we? Because we know when that came out, 1947. If you can find one of these online, I found one that would give you this full forward. One One site after 2 hours of looking that would give me the full forward. Yeah, I realize archive.com's got this, but you got to pay or at least put in a login to get viewing access to that. Otherwise, you get 1 or 2 pages and it won't give you the full forward. But you don't care about that. You want to know about this. You want to know about his Berkeley speech, his last big speech, right, folks? Old Aldous' last big speech. See, after he wrote Brave New World, after he wrote Brave New World Revisited, which is where he really laid out and said, yo, this isn't just science fiction. This is not just warning you of what's to come. It's what's to come. It is what's to come. And after he did the Doors to Perception, where he was talking about his fun little hallucinogenic trips into the netherworlds, yeah, guess what they're also pushing now, folks? Guess what they're also pushing now? It's all about the hallucinogenics, man. Get you some ayahuasca. Get you some of that visionary vine. Get you some shrooms, bro. Get you some LSD. It's all okay. It'll open your mind to the brave new world. It'll open your mind to the doors of perception. And it'll what? It will reconcile the subject to the servitude of your fate. I know, I just wanted you to see me for a few minutes while I was getting into this. So let's check out the Berkeley speech. I'm not going to give you the whole thing. Nay. Just a little bitty bit. This is perhaps, I think, the part of that speech that is cut out and quoted the most. So far be it from me to change my stripes. 1961 or 62, depending on what you're reading this hymnal verse in, there will be, in the next generation or so, a pharmacological method. Pharmacological method. You see, that was already taking place, where you had people getting free samples of Ritalin in the early 80s, had all these early 80s, late 70s kids getting on Ritalin because they were too hyperactive. Remember that old Dead Kennedy song, Hyperactive Child? Got too much of a mind. Wouldn't you rather be happy? This won't hurt a bit. Or will it? See, I've known some people that have gotten on that Ritalin at that early age, and it fries their brain all right. Puts them in that permanent state of soma. Yeah, of soma. So you can reconcile your servitude. Yeah. So after that was infused in the 80s, then what happened? Then we got Bill Clinton with the Telecommunications Act in the 1990s. Oh, yeah, Bill Clinton, after World Trade bombing and after Waco and after the Oklahoma City bombing, yeah, he also did some fun stuff with the Federal Telecommunications Act, which allowed the advertisement of pharmaceuticals onto television. Yeah, that's why we have those lovely ads during the Fox broadcasts and all your other mainstream propaganda arms now just selling you Pfizer. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Bill Clinton. You're my hero. There will be, in the next generation or so, a pharmacological method of making people love. Say it with me, class. Amor. They're going to love their servitude. And producing dictatorship without tears. Yeah, what old Ozzy say? No more tears. No more tears. Because you got your soma. No more tears. Because you got mommy's little helper. Say it, the Rolling Stones, right? Those little helpers from mommy. Yeah, you've reached into old dear mommy's medicine cabinet and you've got your helpers too. Yeah, you got your soma all right. No more tears. Dictatorship without tears, so to speak. Producing a kind of painless concentration camp for entire societies. so that people will, in fact, have their liberties taken away from them, but will rather enjoy it. Oh, yes, baby. Oh, goody, you're going to enjoy it. And what have we seen in the last darn near 3 years now? We've seen people embrace, enjoy, and love their servitude. Because they're suffering from Lot's wife syndrome, people. Yeah, they want to get back to normal at any cost. At any cost at all. So you embrace the slave shackle. You embrace the pharmacological method of making people love your servitude. Oh, yeah. They're going to rather enjoy it because they will be distracted from any desire to rebel by propaganda or brainwashing enhanced by pharmacological methods. Hallelujah, yes. Ooh, boy. Now that does paint a pretty picture now, doesn't it? Because they will be distracted from any desire to rebel by propaganda or brainwashing enhanced by pharmacological methods. Where have you seen that, folks? Where have you seen people brainwashed by propaganda? You see, there's basically about 6 media streams now that are controlled. Or excuse me, there's far more than 6. There are 6 controlling arms of the multi-pronged or tentacled octopus that is the media conglomerates that you are getting your information from. That is, of course, if you're not getting it from non-mainstream sources. And as I was talking with someone today, we shared this same bit of knowledge that we shared a few weeks ago. If you don't think that the not-so-mainstream sources are also co-opted, you are sadly mistaken. Because those 1970s church committee hearings that revealed Operation Mockingbird and MK Ultra, yeah, they never really went away. Now, did they? Even old Barry Soetoro signed propagandizing the American people back into law before he left. Well, his regime never really left, and he didn't either. He just moved about a mile away from the old Oval Office, but at least in theory, if not in practice, old Barry left. But before he did, he signed in the propagandizing of the American people again. Let's close out this at the very end here with Aldous. And this seems to be the final revolution. And it darn sure does, doesn't it, folks? The final revolution. The controlled opposition, the controlled revolution. Just like the Tavistock Institute controlling the opposition. Just like all that stuff that was going on in the Laurel Canyon, where you had the Laurel Canyon Studios controlling the opposition. Just like, I would say almost countless, I mean, I can name 5 off the top of my head, countless figures of the counterculture had deep-rooted ties to the deep state. Yeah, that would be the Laurel Canyon scene that became the poster child for so much of that 1960s rebellion. I mean, after all, we already know the CIA was going stop to stop, giving out LSD. I mean, we got the Timothy Leary connections with that countercultural, what was it, the electric Kool-Aid acid test, brah. We were just going to drive around and just hand out some LSD. That shouldn't be a problem, man. We all know the CIA connections to him and that whole thing. They predate all that when the CIA was doing it on their own. They predate all that with funsy fun time like Operation Midnight Climax. So, as Aldous said in his Berkeley speech, and this seems to be the final revolution, the Operation Lockstep, the Brave New World revisited. Seems to be, right? As the Foreskin said in another song, seems to me there's nothing new anymore. Seems to me it's all been done before. It sure does. It sure as bleep does, doesn't it? It sure does. What are we looking at on the game clock, folks? We're about 40 minutes in, I believe. And it's fairly apparent that the YouTube, although they've put me back on, they're doing a great job at blocking me. Vegan Bear, as I'm saying that, I see you on the screen. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us, my good man. Hi there to you as well. I'm happy to be back on YouTube for a limited time, I hope. Oh, excuse me, for a limited time. I hope not, but, you know, we all know how that goes. But thank you so much, Vegan Bear, for being with us this evening. At least they hadn't blocked you. Thank you. They blocked me for a while, 2 weeks in the slammer on old YouTube, but I'm back, so thank you. Thank you so much. Share the likes, like all the likes, share the subscriptions, you know. When I try to focus on things that are not this, my brain just goes a little haywire. So yes, like all the likes, subscribe to all the subscriptions, and share the links. All right, there's more, though. There's much more that I wanted to get into this evening as it pertains to dear old Aldous Huxley. What do we got left here? I think I got two more to get into. And this next one is from, I'll put it on the screen and then I'll talk about it. This next one is from, I believe it's 1948, and it's from Huxley Letters. This is a collection of Aldous Huxley's letters. It's a lot of them, and they span a great deal of different time periods in his life while publishing this book and several others. Excuse me. I'm just going to give you this little snippet because I think it very well plays into what we read from the preface, the foreword, if you will, from the second edition from 1947, and it also plays in heavily to his Berkeley speech. There will be, at the end of this century, twice as many feeble-minded children in the schools as there are now, and half as many children of outstanding ability. Moreover, the average intelligence of the community will have declined by 5 IQ points on the Bennett scale. The question arises, can one have a democratic way of life in a population which is, biologically speaking, degenerating? Ooh, that is the question now, isn't it, folks? Biologically speaking, degenerating. Wow. There's so many different angles to really connect this to. So let's just get into a few of those, shall we? So what this is really giving us is the eugenics connections, and also this connects into what he was talking about with his foreword in the 1947 second edition there, where he was talking, well, we've got to control the people. We got to control them, and we can do that through education, and we can do that through drugs and alcohol and various types of soma and the propaganda for sure. And what he's saying is here, can we have a democratic way of life in a population which is biologically speaking degenerating? So he's really putting forth the impetus of this, which was really carried out with the work of his brother Julian with the eugenics leagues, the birth control league, Margaret Sanger, Cold Springs Harbor, abortion. All this stuff was really playing into this feeble-minded sect of the populace, and we've got to get rid of these feeble-minded scumbags, I tell you. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to kill them. We're going to kill them through eugenics. We're going to stifle the growth of the population through the birth control league and the eugenics ordinances that were passed in so many states, and particularly the one I'm in, old North Carolina, the old great North state. Yeah, that one too. The formerly great state of North Carolina. We were one of those eugenics states. And Cold Springs Harbor was pumping this stuff out up north, and that was just a satellite branch to what was going on in Germany. Yeah, that's right, folks. Cold Springs Harbor, just a satellite branch for the German version of that. That was pre-Hitler. Yeah, didn't know that? You didn't know that Hitler was sending, in essence, pen pal letters to old Margaret Sanger, saying, you're doing such a bang-up crackerjack job, Margaret. I wish we could get into that here. Seems to me it's all been done before, doesn't it? Yep. Seems to me there's nothing new anymore. Seems to me it's all been done before. So what he is setting the stage here for in his letters here is that there's going to come a point when the feeble-minded shouldn't be voting at all. See, we're going to have to weed out certain sects of the populace from even having the ability to vote. Right? Pretty much. I mean, that's what's been done with anybody that's served any time, basically. You can't vote anymore, right? And so the communist trash have kind of flipped the script a little bit on that, because they've kind of gone from we shouldn't let certain people vote to we should let everybody vote. Can we lower it to 16? You remember that? That grotesque, monstrous creature Pelosi that's saying, yeah, we need to lower it to 16. Let's get all those illegals voting too. Because they're under the assumption that they've done enough propaganda pushing and enough media manipulation and brainwashing, as Huxley was talking about in his foreword, as he was talking about in his Berkeley speech. We've done enough of that. Now, let's just open the floodgates. And if nothing else, we'll control who's going to be able to vote through the voting machines, through the various companies that are counting, controlling, and manipulating the vote. I mean, that was proven by several elections in the last 20 years, most notably the last one. You can go all the way back to the hanging chads. You can go all the way back to the midterms when Trump was in office, where we got all these communist boobs like AOC and Rashida Tlaib. Remember that? That was a scam election if you ever saw one, but nothing was done, right? Nothing was done. Trump couldn't be bothered to handle any of that, and lo and behold, it was stolen in his second election. So now they're flipping the script, and they're saying, we're going to let everybody vote, except for those people that could be pushing misinformation. Now, we might want to stifle them. And you see, we're going to tell you what misinformation is, right? Yeah, that's what's going down. We're going to tell you exactly what the misinformation is. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to follow the same template that has been put forth by all the totalitarian scumbags in the past. You see, what they really want to do looks a little like this. I mean, this is from last week or earlier this week and last week. Both of these kind of came in glaring view there. Oh, we're not subscribing. This is from The Hill. Zelensky, that'd be the wonderful, benevolent, loving leader of the Ukraine. Yeah. Zelensky says Ukraine political parties are linked to Russia and should be banned. Should be banned. This is from the 20th of this month from The Hill. And we're going to see the same playbook played out here. It's going to say, oh, well, do you have connections to the January 6ers? Do you have connections to truthers? Do you have connections to vaccine deniers? Do you have connections to 9/11 conspiracy theorists? Do you even say the word Sandy Hook or what? Well, if you've got connections, well, you shouldn't have the right to have a political party. You shouldn't have the right to vote. Nah, man, you shouldn't have the right to vote. This is from Deadline. Ukraine president combines all national TV channels to combat alleged misinformation. You see, that would be the old internet kill switch that was put in by Barry Soetoro. Yeah. This will be something that was even put forth in the continuity of government documents where they can take hold of the media outlets. Yeah, you think this is just Ukraine? You think that's not here in the land of the sheep, home of the slave? You are vastly mistaken. Yeah, that's part of the continuity of government Rex 84 where they can take hold of all transmissions and I suppose just have our own sort of voice of America like we did during the Cold War with the communist countries, except in this instance, the voice of America will be raining down upon us with not anti-communist propaganda, but in fact, communist-laden propaganda for those stupid American morons that haven't caught on yet to the virtues of communism. Mm-hmm. You see, try as they may to paint Putin as the bad guy. I ain't saying he's bad nor good. I'm saying Zelensky sure as bleep ain't good. Because he's following the same trajectory as every communist, dictatorial, third world scumbag that's ever come into existence. Seems to me there's nothing new anymore. Seems to me it's all been done before. Doesn't it? Sure does to me. So, folks, people, friends, family, loved ones, yeah, and enemies too. I know there's some enemies listening out there. Hear anything you like? Anyway, let me sort of close on a good note this evening. Let me see. I got one more round in the chamber. One more round in the chamber for you, and then we'll call it a night. All right? One more. Hold on to your hats, kiddies. This is from Frederick Douglass. Uh-oh, Frederick Douglass. Anybody remember him? This is from the narrative of Frederick Douglass. Whoa, he was a black man. Conventionally now he would be known as a person of color. See, they changed the words around. That's different from colored person or colored, because now we have created the new moniker person of color to describe anybody that's not white, I guess, because white's not a color. I mean, yeah, this makes no sense at all, even in the Orwellian Brave New World 1984 satanic death cult anomic age that we live in. But I digress. Here we got some words from old Frederick Douglass. Let's run them down, shall we? Frederick writes, I have found that to make a content slave, love your servitude, right? Love your servitude, Aldous Huxley. To make a content slave, it is necessary to make a thoughtless one. Whoa! Success is ours, saith the New World Order, because they have made a bevy, a coven, a huge populace of thoughtless slaves. Look no further than to those folks that are wearing the slave shackle alone, wearing the slave shackle outside, wearing the slave shackle doing exercise and physical activity. Look no further than the folks that can't seem to separate the wheat from the chaff, or shaft, if you get my drift, that can't separate the propaganda from the truth, and they're all too willing to take anything that the government offers under the guise of getting back to normal, baby. Yeah. Let's close up with Frederick. I apologize here. It is necessary to darken his morale and mental vision. Well, how could we do that? We could do that by isolating you. We could do that by doing all the public shaming of you. Or we could do that by narrowing the scope of the information you get. All those things that we've talked about before. In the Bitterman coercion chart, go back and check that episode out if you missed it, folks. It is necessary to darken his moral and mental vision, and as far as possible, to annihilate the power of reason. Success. The average boob has no power of reason. They can't seem to figure out that if you can exhale and see your breath in the winter, they can't seem to figure out that if you can exhale and see your breath, that the slave shackle is not functioning as advertised. He must be able to detect no inconsistencies in slavery. He must be made to feel that slavery is right, and he can be brought to that only when he ceases to be a man. Ooh, we are tap dancing on a landmine now, aren't we, folks? When he ceases to be a man. You see, now in the popular vernacular, not only is being a man almost the biggest insult possible. See, now if you are a white, Christian, heterosexual man, whoa. I mean, Hitler's got nothing on you because you are the devil. He can be brought to that only when he ceases to be a man. And they've been waging war on men and masculinity for at least 20 to 30 years, folks. That's why every male in every sitcom is a Nimrod. That's why at every turn on every show and every channel, just like old Huxley mentioned in the radio, the movies, and I added the music and the television, at every turn, the masculine male is demonized, marginalized, and exorcised so that they can be made way for the new metrosexual, transsexual. We don't know what it is unless we're a biologist, right? We can't figure it out. We can't make any kind of ruling on masculine, feminine, male or female. That's called sex, folks. That is the sex. Gender is what you perceive yourself to be. The sex is what you are. No matter what you want to play with in the realm of Mr. Potato Head, what you want to chop off and or plug in. Your sex is what your chromosomal makeup is. Whoa, that's pretty hair-raisingly scary, isn't it? Throughout his experience as a slave, Douglas finds that masters consistently seek to deprive their slaves of knowledge. That's why knowledge is censored here in the brave new 1984 Anomic Age global satanic death cult. Can't have people telling you knowledge. Deprive their slaves of knowledge in order to crush slaves' will to be free, or to make it so that the slaves... Let me get it back up on the screen for you. Somebody's going, what? What? Or to make it so that the slaves cannot even comprehend being free. You can't even comprehend being free, right? Because you have Lot's wife syndrome. You don't know what being free is because you just want to get back to normal. Normality, be damned the cost. Normality at the end of a syringe. Normality at the end of a slave shackle. Normality at the show me your papers. Your papers, I tell you. Give me your papers, you can't come in here. Give me your papers, you can't travel. Give me your papers, you can't buy or sell. Give me your papers. Give me your papers. I'm Dr. Fauci. I want your papers. I want your papers. Remember from Poltergeist 2, let me in. That's all they want, folks. They want you to let them in. They got something for you. That's right. They got some soma for you. They got some brainwashing propaganda for you. It's that old propaganda song. All they want is your silence. And all they command is your numb noddest approval. Oh, excuse me, that's not propaganda. That's born against. Oh, you gotta hand it to them? Well, not me, I tell you. Not me. No. Not I. Not John Age. So, folks, I think we've come to an end of tonight's voyage. We're at just about 1 hour. So it's time to wrap this baby up, put a bow on it, and end this edition. Remember to let your existence be your resistance, folks. You can't do everything, but you can do something. So get out there and do your part and make that difference. Be safe out there, and until next time, I will be seeing you sooner than later in the Anomic Age.
Thank you for listening to The Anomic Age, a John Age project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to anomicage.com. That's ANOMICAGE.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to The Anomic Age.